So let's dive into this really powerful parable. It's the story of an artist, right? Every single morning, they go down to the shore and build this absolutely magnificent sandcastle, knowing, and this is the key part, knowing that by evening, the tide is just going to come in and wash it all away. Now, to anyone watching, it looks like complete madness. But inside this seemingly pointless act, there's a profound lesson on how to find meaning in a world that often feels chaotic.
So picture this. Every day, without fail, this artist pours their entire soul into their work. They are fueled by this intense passion, carving these intricate, beautiful spires and delicate bridges. And it's not from some blueprint, it's pure creative impulse. For them, the act of creation is the entire point.
And then, like clockwork, every evening the tide rolls in. It's not gentle, it's this aggressive, predictable, mechanical force that just scours the shore clean, leaving behind what one source calls a colorless desert. All that passion, every single detail, just gone.
So from a distance, you can totally understand why people would be confused. All they see is wasted effort, this endless cycle of creation and destruction that just screams the question, what is the point of all this? It really does look like the definition of futility.
But if we stop there, we're missing the whole point of the story. To really get what's going on with the sandcastle builder, we have to completely shift our perspective. We need to stop seeing them as a victim of the tide and start seeing them for what they really are, an absurd hero.
The key to unlocking this builder's mindset, to really getting inside their head, lies in a core philosophical concept that their daily struggle perfectly illustrates. And that concept is known as the absurd. So let's break down what that actually means.
Now this is really crucial. The absurd isn't just, hopelessness. It's not a property of the universe itself. The absurd is the clash. It's that permanent, unresolvable fight between our deep-seated human need for meaning and a world that simply doesn't offer any.
And this clash, man, it's a big one. On one side, you have the human heart, and it's crying out for meaning, for order, for things to last. And on the other side, the universe just replies with this cold, indifferent, unreasonable silence. The absurd lives right there, in that huge gap between the cry and the silence.
So get this. The problem isn't just the builder's passion, and it's not just the tide's destructive power. The absurdity is born in the moment those two forces meet on the shoreline, day in and day out. That shoreline is the stage for their endless, unavoidable confrontation.
So how does our builder deal with this reality? Well, their heroism isn't just about what they do, it's defined by what they refuse to do. They're faced with two very common escape routes from this absurd condition, and they consciously say no to both of them.
Okay, so the first path they reject is basically resignation or despair, giving up, walking away, just letting the tide win. The philosophy behind this calls it a form of physical suicide. The second path is what's called philosophical suicide. This is the leap of faith. It's escaping into some comforting illusion, pretending the castle will last forever or that some higher power is going to save it. The builder refuses both.
So by rejecting both despair and false hope, the builder makes his incredibly powerful choice. They choose to live with their eyes wide open, to see the reality of their situation for exactly what it is, without flinching and without ever surrendering.
And this is where it all clicks. That clear-eyed, conscious awareness isn't a source of sadness or weakness. It is the absolute source of the builder's strength, their freedom, and, in the end, their victory.
And this should sound familiar. It's a direct parallel to one of the most famous figures in all of philosophy, Sisyphus. The guy condemned by the gods to forever push a boulder up a hill only to watch it roll right back down again. Our builder is a modern Sisyphus, finding power in a task that looks completely hopeless.
I mean, really think about that moment. As the builder just stands there and watches their work dissolve, they're fully, completely conscious of their fate. The tide is just a blind, unconscious force of nature. But the builder understands. And in that moment of pure understanding, they rise above the very force that's trying to erase them. They are superior to their fate because they know it, and they choose to continue anyway.
Okay, so you've rejected the easy ways out, and you've embraced reality. How do you actually live? Well, this conscious acceptance unlocks a liberated new way of living, and it's built on 3 core pillars.
And these 3 consequences just flow naturally from accepting the absurd. They are revolt, freedom, and passion. And they aren't separate ideas. They are totally intertwined. Each one fuels the others.
So let's just quickly break them down. Revolt isn't some big one-time protest. It's the daily persistence of just starting again, a constant scorn for the things that try to erase you. Freedom, that comes when you let go of the need for your work to last forever. And passion, well, that's about finding joy in the immediate, physical act of creation itself, about prioritizing the richness of the experience, right here and now.
Okay, let's bring all of this home. We've talked about the absurd clash, rejecting false hope, the power of consciousness, and it all leads to this totally radical redefinition of what it even means to be happy and for a life to have meaning.
You know, there's another beautiful metaphor for this. Think of a musician playing a song. They know the song is going to end. They know silence will follow. Does that make the music meaningless? Of course not. The meaning is found entirely in the act of playing, in the vibration of the strings in that moment.
And that, right there, is the heart of it all. The meaning isn't in the finished castle that stands forever. It can't be. The meaning, the fulfillment, the thing that is enough to fill a man's heart, is found in the struggle itself. What the builder owns is the sand, the bucket, and their own effort. And that is enough.
So we end on this powerful, provocative final thought. This happiness isn't born from illusion or some false hope for a different outcome. It's the happiness that comes from revolt, from freedom, and from the passionate ownership of one's own fate. It's a happiness found not in spite of the struggle, but because of it. One must imagine the sandcastle builder happy.